All right, today we're jumping right into one of the most puzzling and, honestly, one of the most challenging statements in the entire New Testament. It's a teaching that, on the surface, sounds so bizarre that it actually caused people to just turn around and walk away. So what was it, and what in the world does it actually mean?
And there you have it. Unless you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you have no life in you. Now, you have to put yourself in the shoes of the original audience. Hearing this would have sounded not just strange, but completely forbidden. It's shocking, and it immediately makes you ask, is he being serious? Is this literal, or is there something much, much deeper going on here?
And what's so fascinating is that this confusion we feel isn't just us 2,000 years later. Our source material makes it really clear that the crowd listening back then was totally baffled. They were arguing, they were questioning, a lot of them were just plain repulsed by the idea. So to get it, we really have to understand the conversation that led up to this bombshell.
To really get a handle on their confusion, we've got to rewind. This shocking statement didn't just come out of nowhere. It was actually the big finale of a long discussion about something incredibly ordinary: bread.
Okay, so the whole thing kicks off with the crowd kind of challenging Jesus to prove himself. They bring up this famous story of their ancestors in the desert, who were miraculously fed with something called manna, this bread that just appeared from heaven. They're basically saying, hey, show us a sign like that. Give us something real, something tangible that can fill our stomachs.
And right here, Jesus just completely pivots the entire conversation. The source material shows him drawing this super sharp contrast. He's like, look, that manna your ancestors ate, that was a temporary fix for a physical problem. It kept them alive for a day, sure, but they all still eventually died. But the bread he's talking about, well, that's something else entirely. It's not about feeding your body for a day. It's about nourishing your very soul for all of eternity.
And that brings us right to the heart of it. Once he sets up this idea of spiritual food versus physical food, that's when he drops that shocking line. So, let's use the source analysis here to really decode what flesh and blood is all about in this context.
So what does it mean, right? If it's not some kind of literal, forbidden act, what is it? Well, the commentary gives us a really clear, symbolic interpretation, and it starts with that first part of the phrase.
According to the analysis, eating the flesh is all about a total, complete acceptance of who Jesus is. It's about fully buying into his humanity, that he was a real person who lived a real life, and then fully embracing the sacrifice that he made. It's an internal act of saying, I believe in all of it.
And then that idea builds with the second part, drinking the blood. Now, in ancient thinking, blood was the very symbol of life itself. So this is a metaphor for taking in all the benefits of his sacrifice, the new, eternal life, and the total forgiveness that his offering makes possible for you.
And this, right here, is the absolute key from the source text. All of this physical language, eating, drinking, flesh, blood, it's all pointing to something completely spiritual. It's about a real spiritual union. It's about identifying so closely with Jesus through faith that his spiritual life literally becomes your own. You know, once we understand the metaphor, we can finally grasp the incredible promise this teaching is actually making. It's not just some complicated idea. It's being presented as the actual key to eternal life.
And this is the payoff. The commentary explains that by accepting this true bread, by metaphorically eating his flesh and drinking his blood, a person is directly promised two huge things: eternal life, starting right now, and the hope of resurrection in the future. The source makes it crystal clear that this link is absolute.
So the path laid out in the source material is actually pretty clear. Step 1, it all starts with belief, seeing Jesus not just as a miracle worker, but as the true spiritual food from God. Step 2, that belief leads you to fully accept his sacrifice, which is what the whole eating and drinking metaphor represents. And the final result? An intimate union with God and the incredible gift of eternal life.
So why does all this matter? I mean, why use such a difficult, shocking metaphor in the first place? Well, because as the source analysis concludes, it was meant to signal a massive, fundamental shift in how a person relates to God.
And here it is. This is probably the most profound takeaway. This teaching was designed to move faith away from being something external, like following a bunch of rules or even eating physical manna, to something that is deeply internal and deeply personal. It's not about just obeying a distant God anymore. It's about a complete life-giving union with the divine.
Okay, so let's pull all this together. What have we learned? First, and most importantly, the language is a spiritual metaphor. It is not literal. Second, it's a symbol for total acceptance and belief in his sacrifice. Third,
It draws this incredible contrast between our temporary physical life and an eternal spiritual one. And finally, it points to a whole new kind of faith, a direct personal union with God. So, we're left with this final thought. It's a difficult teaching, no doubt. It's challenging, and it's deeply symbolic. And yet, for millions and millions of people all over the world, this ancient metaphor about bread and life remains a central pillar of their faith. And it really makes you wonder, how can these words, 2,000 years later, still hold such profound, life-defining power?